The government has said it will begin to sell stakes in a number of domestic corporations immediately in order to raise cash to help reduce its massive debts. Meanwhile, the government's midterm fiscal program aims to raise 6.4 billion euros through the imposition of additional direct and indirect taxes. To discuss the reforms that have been announced, I spoke with economist Dimitris Kazakis and began by asking him whether the sale of these assets will make the country's debt sustainable.
No, there is no way we can make through sell-off the debt sustainable. Let me give you some numbers. They expect to raise, if the numbers are right, around 15 billion euros by the end of 2012. The interest we have to pay on amortization of Greek bonds up to the end of 2012 is 18 billion euros. Only the interest. It's not enough. Even if we raise such cash, as the government says, it's not enough even to pay the interest for next year. So we need something else quite more drastic than selling off our house silver, like businesses and property.
Now, before we get into the more drastic measures that you're talking about, does anybody really know the actual price of these assets? Is this what they're actually worth?
No, we know only the value the Greek government gives to the participation of the public sector in the specific businesses. The property or the real value of the business, we don't know. We'll find out through the selling process.
Now, Finance Minister Yorgos Papakonstantinou has said that if Greece does not receive the fifth installment of its EU IMF bailout loan, the country will have to freeze payments. What does this mean for the country?
Well, actually, what Mr. Papakonstantinou says is that we will not have the money to pay amortization and interest on our debt. That's why he thinks that we have to declare default. I think the problem is that we have too much interest and too much amortization on state bonds to pay. That's why we need something else, a different recipe.
What do you have a proposal to make? What kind of recipe would you think is appropriate in order to help the country?
First of all, we have to get rid of the loan agreement we had made last May. The whole people and the country itself is mortgaged to investment banks and funds which hold the Greek public debt. Under the loan agreement with the Eurozone and IMF, the government accepted the abolition unconditionally and irrevocably, as the agreement specifically states, of all national sovereignty, which means that all what the Greek people and the state owns, private and public property, private and public revenue, even national territory, now belong to the lenders as collateral for the 110 billion euros they agreed to provide in order to keep the Greek state from defaulting. So we need to denounce that agreement and start all over again. First of all, by repudiating the existing debt.
Now, Mr. Kazakis, the way you are presenting the issue is as if the international lenders would not want Greece maybe to repay its debt.
No, the whole regime, which is actually a formal regime of peonage, it's designed especially for the sale of the whole country. It's not to recover for the economy or to restart the development of the country. It's only for the sell-off. With the structural adjustment policies of the IMF and Eurozone, the government seek to appease the international capital markets in order to allow Greece to go out again and refinance its public debt. The real objective of the whole therapy treatment, in my opinion, is not to make Greek economy viable, but to keep Greece paying its debts by issuing new loans in the capital markets. Perpetual debt is the future for Greece and the Greek people. And for this, the workers, the retirees, the small businessmen and professionals are living through a real hell without any hope. In the first 8 months of the structural adjustment policies, the Greek economy shrank more than 6.8% in constant 2000 prices. The official unemployment almost doubled. The youth was struck in particular. Most of the young people are considering leaving the country because there is no future here. Salaries and pensions in the public and private sectors fell more than 30% in real terms. Labor rights and guarantees were effectively abolished and replaced by private contracts, making workers and employees prey to employers' promiscuity. All that resulted in a vertical drop of the market turnover, which shrank more than 12% in real terms. In only 8 months, the domestic consumer demand of the country lost almost a decade. This resulted in 1 of 3 small businessmen and professionals going out of work. Farmers lost more than 20% of the real income. Thus, the estimated percentage of the population which is under the official poverty level jumped in just 1 year from 20% to 40%. Effects of extreme deprivation and are starting to appear everywhere. And we have in front of us at least another 4 years, as the Prime Minister says, of structural adjustment policies dictated by IMF and the Eurozone.